Welcome to Transformation Region Summit. My name is Kylie Porter and I'm the CEO of Greater Whitsunday Alliance, and I'm joined here today with the Resources Centre of Excellence Directors. So I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today. I would also like to pay my respects, past, present and emerging. I'd like to introduce the directors of the Resources Centre of Excellence: Tony Caruso, Managing Director and CEO of Mastermind; Mark Walter, Director of Vaeron; Suzanne Brown, Partner of Mackay's; and Daryl Sweet, Production Manager of BMA Haypoint. Welcome, thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Kylie.
Okay, Tony, I'm going to start with you. So it's a really hard first question, so go with me. This has been in the pipeline for a long time and you've been involved probably pretty well since day one. So what does a Resources Centre of Excellence mean to our region, and more broadly, why is it so important for a place like Mackay Isaac Whitsunday to have a facility like this?
Yeah, it's a good question, Kylie, and I have been involved with it for many, many years. It's been, I guess, a vision of RIN to have a facility like this here in Mackay. I guess the importance of it is it's really, I call it like a bit of a lightning rod. It's going to bring a lot of activity to our area. So one of the things that, industry and universities has always been lacking is that common place to meet and to solve industry issues. So what this facility does is it provides that common ground for industry, for university, so for educators, for the METS companies to all come together to collaborate and solve issues, both current issues, but also importantly with a mind to the future, because what's happening in our resources sector is it's changing. Assets are changing. The way we extract assets is changing. The way we do maintenance is changing. We've heard a lot about automation. So the whole industry is changing, and if we're not, staying ahead of that curve, what will happen is that we'll get left behind. So, this region is world class for its MET sector, and we're great at building stuff. We're great at maintaining stuff. We want to move to the front edge of that curve now. We want to be sort of at the front of shaping the industry of the future. So now we can do the whole life cycle of a project, from that really early stage technology and developing the new technologies, but then also to service and maintain it and extract the resources as well. So this facility will be the catalyst for all of that to happen.
So can I quickly just touch on, you just said we have a world-class MET sector, so you're a METS business. On the other end of the couch here, we have a mining business represented. Is that actually overstating it, or from a BMA perspective and from a BHP perspective, is Tony on the money? Because I think a lot of people out there in our community just thinks, we're just an industry-based city. They don't, probably a bit surprised, or might actually even challenge the concept that this is world's best practice for many in the MET sector. So from a mining perspective, is he right?
Kylie, I think absolutely. Mackay has got a lot to offer. We've got the Bowen Basin on our doorstep. We've got innovators that work and live in the local region, and we obviously believe that we're able to be able to use the Mackay region to join the greatest mines to sort out some of the local mining area's biggest issues.
Yeah, so this is what this facility is all about.
Absolutely.
It's about celebrating what we already do exceptionally well, but actually taking it to the next level.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
Okay, so Mark, you're part of a pretty exciting, company that's on a journey from startup to, through the whole innovation cycle. For a company like Vaeron, is this a facility that you needed 5 years ago?
Yeah, about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It would have made a huge difference to the time the company took to get from prototype stage right through to a product ready for sale. So you can imagine a small company making a product here in Mackay and then testing it in a port over in WA, because it was the only place we could actually get access to do the testing we needed to do.
So
If this place was available, we would have done all of our testing out here in this facility. and we could then bring a mining company like a BMA here and show them the product operating in the facility and take it from there.
So Suze, this is obviously, you're not a mining METS background person. You're like me, you're not from this space. So why are you involved in something like the Resources Centre of Excellence? Because probably a person from an external industry, have you been surprised by the level, I suppose, of innovation and transformation that's actually already occurring in this region? Have you had your eyes opened?
Yeah, definitely. And I think as a lawyer, intellectual property has been a huge area that we've seen emerge in sort of the last 5 years. We've never had so many inquiries about trademarks, patents, designs. We're seeing a lot more collaboration. So we're seeing companies strategically align different components that they want to put together to find a better way of doing things and to make solutions to solve problems. And traditionally, again, following on from what Tony said, there hasn't sort of been a common place where they can actually connect to do that or even know who to connect with. And that's what this facility is all going to be about. We're going to have the best of the best cutting edge technology. We're going to provide that catalyst for them to be able to further develop, test and show off their product to the world. I suppose one of my primary roles on the board is to assist with the legal side of helping this facility get off the ground, but definitely I'm really passionate based on what I'm seeing happening in the industry and what my clients are doing in really providing the pathway for them to be able to do that. Mackay can be a leading force in the world.
So it's not, I think that there is probably a perception out in our community that jobs like mine, I'm paid to go out there and be the best cheerleader I possibly can for Mackay Isaac Whitsunday. But I only actually do that based on the evidence that's in front of me. And to me, it's not actually all hype. There is genuine examples of amazing innovation, transformation and entrepreneurial activity in this region. Would you agree?
I certainly agree. Vaeron is one of probably a dozen companies that have new technology that is either world first technology or it is rare around the world and is now developed that product to a stage where it's being exported. Last night we were on a Zoom call with Brazil, and we would be there now if we could. South America is hungry for technology, and a lot of the companies that are like Vaeron in our region are starting to work in those countries.
So when you think about the Resources Centre of Excellence, Tony, are you only thinking about it in relevance to mining?
No, absolutely not. There's a couple of components to, I guess, answering that question. So one is, not only is it not just about this physical facility here. So what we want to do is we want to develop we call it a hub and spoke model. So whilst this will be the centrepiece, stage 2 and 3 and 4, whatever it looks like, could be satellite operation. So we could have a remote control centre operating, out the back of the facility that's running autonomous gear in a quarry that's, 50 k's or down the road or in Moranbah. So the idea is that this is really just stage 1. I guess the anchor point, and then from here we'll build on those other, components to the Resource Centre of Excellence. But the second part of your question is, no, it's not only about resources, it's about, any industry that needs to, find those pathways to developing technology, introducing technology. So a lot of the skills like that Vaeron will have learnt now, and actually, talking to Ryan from Vaeron the other day, he's already starting to share a lot of the information and the lessons that he's learned. He's starting to share information about the supply chains that he's developed to other METS companies. But, there's no reason why that same information is not relevant to other sectors outside of resources. So again, that's the beauty of this facility. We have a very strong agricultural sector in here in Mackay. We have the universities that are all here in Mackay. So the facility can tap into all those different needs. It's just that resources is, I guess, the mainstream for
the
us.
Dominant industry driver.
And that's right, and that's what will provide the platform for a lot of this technology to emerge, but can be applied across a number of different sectors.
Suzanne, do you think it's time that as a region we start perhaps rethinking about who we are and where we're going? So, I think that, we've thought ourselves as a mining services city. but with an agricultural background. Is it time to actually start leaving those labels behind? You know, and actually redefine the way we think of ourselves as a community and as a region moving forward. You know, one that is highly technical. You know, leveraging world-class skills and expertise. Do you think that it's time for us to start with a different narrative about who we are?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that we're good at everything. I think that in Mackay...
That's a nice parochial...
No, but I think generally, I mean, one really exciting thing for me here is about the education element.
Yeah.
Where else, you know, in Australia can school kids come and do tours and be able to press on a screen which will show them this whole supply chain from the mine, be able to push different mines and see what, you know, is happening there, but also go into an underground simulator and actually see what a working underground mine sounds like, feels like, looks like. When you get in there, it literally, you turn the lights off and you feel like you're there. So the education element's really exciting. You know, obviously we've got mining is a big side of it, but you know, our engineering, all of our other industry, I think we are manufacturing, we are mining, we have so many different skills, but it's sort of showing what we've got in that regard and joining them together to also get that innovation. I think that we can become an innovation town.
I think that what Mark is saying is that we're actually already there. It's just that we don't necessarily talk about ourselves in that way.
Yeah.
You know, and part of the platform that GW3 is launching, and you know, this summit is a part of that launch, is about actually starting to change the conversation and to give our community members confidence to say, you know, I'm part of a really dynamic, highly technical, exciting region, and I'm excited about the future. So when you think about, world-class mining sector, which is underpinning our economy in this region, how important is it to have a really highly motivated and integrated supply chain of METS businesses who are continually improving? Because you can't do it by yourselves, can you?
No, we honestly can't. And we talk about our business is growing and changing, and the problems of tomorrow, we don't quite understand them just yet.
Yeah.
When we do get to understand them, we want our local businesses to help us solve those issues.
Yeah.
And that's what the centre is all about, is helping us come together with the brightest minds and then working through what are the solutions to the problems that we're going to have for tomorrow. Because we are automating, and automation is a way of the future.
So there's probably some of our viewers, listeners, however they're accessing this little conversation now, thinking that that's, but you're BHP, you should have all the answers about the future of your industry. But that's not quite right, because you're actually embracing technology that has never been trialled or employed in coal before.
Absolutely, and we're keen to work with local organisations to try and help solve our problems of the future.
Yeah, I think that that's a really important conversation, is that this is the reality of change, is that we actually don't know what tomorrow brings. What we know tomorrow, what we do know is that tomorrow might actually be different. And I think that COVID has actually a really great tangible example about how we're having to rethink the way that we operate and live every single day. So moving forward, how do you take the concept of the Resources Centre of Excellence and embed it with a small business like a business that is, the size of Vayeron, but doesn't have your startup model, perhaps, so someone who's been in region in a very established, perhaps more traditional METS business for a very long time. How do you take this Resources Centre of Excellence and present it as an opportunity for them, to grow and stay relevant in the industry moving forward? What's the challenge, Mark?
I think the challenge is for us to keep an open mind. I think we've been open 13 days today, I think it is. And, I don't know about how Tony feels, but my vision for the centre has already changed and grown.
In 13 days?
In 13 days. We see things evolving from here. This is the start. Tony said about the hub and spoke model. We might be out at a quarry with autonomous trucks running around. We might end up with a control station or, a area next door where we're watching automation. We could have stuff running in the centre here. We're talking about a manufacturing facility, so these world-class technologies that we build, we're designing, we actually make them here and we export them from here. So I think the vision is continually evolving, and if we as a board keep our minds open and we look for the opportunity, this will just continue to expand and
I think
evolve.
that's one of the most exciting parts about it, is that, you know, it's limitless of what it can do, and you know, I guess it's not about us telling small business what they can do with, you know, within the facility. It's really those businesses telling us how they can use the facility to, you know, accelerate their products to market, how they can, you know, bring that technology, whether it's international or taking it internationally. You know, it's the key for us is to not put our blinkers on. You know, we don't know what we don't know, and I think that's important. And you know, what we wanted to do was provide the facilities, and you know, RIN and RCOE will manage the facilities, but it's really now up to industry, and it's up to the universities, and it's up to you know, the METS companies and all these startups to now come and have a look at the facility and then decide how to use what's here to grow their business and to, you know, to improve what they do and develop their technologies.
I think, Kylie, can I add? I think we're trying to create a culture. I think previously, say someone's had a great idea, they don't quite know what to do with it or where to start. I think this is somewhere where they can come, and we're going to be creating more of a connection culture where there's going to be that easy access by coming here to go, well, can we get university students involved to use this as a research project to sort of help us develop that idea, or what other companies are around at the facility that might be able to contribute to that idea and build on it and actually have the expertise to actually help us move that forward. So I think we're trying to create something so much more than a building. It's an innovation culture. It's connecting all those businesses, connecting the dots. And where before, I think there's probably been a disconnect between industry and the education sector, and we're trying to bring all of that together to basically produce a clear pathway for them to move forward.
When people think about a facility like this, and you talk about that, you know, we could have, you know, a remote operating centre, or we could be trialling autonomous, you know, vehicles, you know, out the back. People tend to think that when we talk about initiatives like this, it's about people-less, you know, operations or futures. That's not what we're saying, to be clear, isn't it? So your view around this is the Resources Centre of Excellence is not necessarily around championing opportunities or projects which are going to take the people out of the equation. It's about looking and exploring for new ways and new different jobs. Is that right?
Well, as Darryl alluded to, you know, we don't know yet what those, what those new issues will be, or what those new opportunities will be, or what those new roles will be. And again, part of the facility or the collaboration we're doing between BMA and Central Queensland University through the automation transition jobs of the future role is to actually try and understand what those roles of the future are. So, you know, I think it's quite clear now that as roles come out as are replaced by automation, you know, there's more roles created in new jobs. So part of the facility,
if the skills are there.
That's right. If the skills are there. So one, you have to identify what those roles are. Then we have to set up our education facility and our training facilities and our skills base to be able to tap into those roles. So again, that's part of you know, the facility here is to identify what those new roles are, and then make sure that this region is set up to be able to provide those skills back into the industry. So I guess it's repurposing those roles for the jobs of the future.
Yeah, because it's actually not about saying that, yes, we're going to lose some more traditional jobs, you know, to automation, but the replacement jobs are actually there. We just need to be ready and primed and open to the opportunity that comes with that.
That's exactly right. If you go back 20 or 30 years, Kylie, you know, as technology developed, there's a lot of roles and jobs that have been displaced, and those people are still now moved, you know, are still around, still working, and they've just gone into different roles. And you know, that's what we're seeing now with you know, with some of the automation technology that's coming into the sector.
So how long have you worked in the industry for?
Almost 10 years.
Almost 10 years. So does it look completely different to where you started 10 years ago?
Absolutely, yep. And the industry is changing, and the jobs of next year and 5 years' time, I don't think we actually understand them clearly enough to to put a mark and say these are the skills you're going to need to be able to do it. But I think we've got a really good idea of the skill set suite that you're going to have to build, particularly from a technology perspective. Capable control engineers, electronics, computer-based programmers. Programmers are going to be one of the skills that we're going to be looking for in the future. How do we get industry to help us bring the universities together and then build the qualifications of the future and to be able to solve those problems?
And whilst we've been very futuristic in our talking, it's also, the whole centre is about people. So we've got these massive training rooms which can be used for training or functions. You know, we're hoping that businesses will come and train all their people here. We've got the underground simulator where they can practice putting, you know, roof support in and actually be around working continuous miners and things and train in the underground simulator. So I think it is very much about skilling up our people, being able to train them locally to actually help address the current skill shortage, not just about looking forward.
So we've touched on education, and quite clearly this facility is designed to link really closely with education, and there's obviously the opportunity there with the Chair of Automation with Central Queensland University. What about, and I'm just going to put it out there, is that this region in particular has very, very high numbers of you know, what we would call trade-based you know, workers. Are we saying that those who may not actually have a programmer background or a highly computer literate skill background, are we saying that jobs for them don't exist, or are they just slightly different? Are we just tweaking? You still need their skills in Mastermind, but they may need some additional credentials to help to be enhanced for the future types of work.
That's exactly right, and I think those base skills are always going to be required, but it's about complementing and supplementing those skills with with the technology of the future. And we're seeing,
so don't be afraid.
No, absolutely not. We're seeing a lot of our equipment in the underground now, moving to technology where we're tracking real-time monitoring and all that gear needs to be maintained underground. And probably one of the most exciting examples I saw was in a metalliferous mine where on every crew there were 3 IT people working underground on shift, and their job was just to keep the machines talking to each other underground. So as we develop technology around proximity detecting and driverless shuttle cars and continuous miners that are driving themselves, all that electronics has got to be maintained and calibrated, and when it breaks down, just like when an engine breaks down, when a computer system breaks down, someone's got to be there to fix it. So we're seeing IT people shift from being in an office programming to working underground alongside a continuous miner, and we're seeing the same. We're seeing fitters and we're seeing electricians who are now just used to pulling plugging in wires in boxes to actually now sitting there and programming machines and to make sure they're all talking to each other. So the skills are just adapting as the technology changes.
So one of the main takeaways I'm taking from this conversation is this is really a centre which is about making sure that as a region we're connected into the conversations around how industry is changing. So this to me is an amazing opportunity for our region to make sure that a METS business like, an emerging METS business like Bayeron, an established METS business like, Mastermind, and everyone in between actually has the opportunity to be a part of that future. So we're not leaving anyone behind on this journey.
Absolutely. I think the worst thing that could happen is, if technology was to develop to a point and we weren't keeping abreast of that our workforce becomes obsolete and we're not part of it. And we're watching people come in from other regions and fill the jobs that we could be filling. So, again, we're getting on the front edge of that, and by having a facility like this, we want to make sure that, that Mackay people and the Mackay region are filling those roles in the future.
I like to finish off a lot of these panel conversations with, and sometimes I bring it, and I don't know if anyone's participated in one before, where I actually bring my magic wand, but I couldn't find it this morning, so sorry. So I bring my magic wand, and I just said, if you had a magic wand, you're holding it in your hand, and you could fast forward in 5 years' time, Daryl, where would the Resources Centre of Excellence be? So nothing's a problem because you've got a magic wand.
Got a magic wand?
Yeah.
I think if I could have the magic wand moment, I think we would have universities and industry meeting here at the Resources Centre of Excellence to solve the problems that they currently have.
What about you, Suzanne? What's your magic wand? What do you, in 5 years' time, using your magic wand to make all of the problems and all the barriers disappear? Where are we and what do we look like? What does the Resources Centre of Excellence look like?
I think we've expanded, so we don't just have this building, that we have other facilities around Mackay, Whitsunday, IJAC region, which are part of the movement of the Resource Centre of Excellence, that we have students that came and did a tour here 5 years ago that have now gone into the resources sector because of their experience when they came here and them getting passionate about the industry, that we've got people being trained locally, that we're attracting people from other regions to come here because of what we're creating, what we're doing, and they're bringing their spouses and their families, and that we have some new inventions and things that are being put on the world stage, and through we've got mining houses or industry players flying in to see it, or through our incredible technology that we don't even need that, we can present it to the world right from here electronically, digitally. So that's my vision.
The wand might need recharging after that.
The wand, and given that you've been here for 13 days, the fact that Suzanne wants you to be twice as big in 5 years, don't feel any pressure, Mark, with your magic wand, but the magic wand is over to you now.
I think I'm probably like Suzanne. It's, I walk in here and I can already see this place just absolutely buzzing with people. That there are different groups here doing all sorts of activities. I can see school children, being led through, and they're all excited, about coming here, and there's people training, there's people working on technology in the labs. And then you look at this big screen here and we can see the other, whether it's a disused quarry that we're now working in, or it's another facility that, might be, even down south, whatever it is, that we can see that on the screen here. And this is a hub, it's part of what's happening. But I think one of the things that if I can see something that says we've made it, I travel all around the world to mining shows. I'd love to be in Santiago, Chile, at some of their big mining events and say, oh, you're from Mackay. That's where the Resource Centre of Excellence is. That's where they developed that technology that we are now using in our mine. So I think that's the exciting part. That for me will be the catalyst to say, man, we're on the map. People know who we are. Sorry,
do you want to take the magic wand off anybody?
It's always hard going last, isn't it? No, look, I think everyone summed it up pretty nicely, and I think all those things are going to be great measures of success. But yeah, I think if we can leave a legacy where where we've got a facility that we're all proud of, it's globally recognised, and for Mackay, it's created significant value for the region. For all those reasons, that would be my wish for it, that it's creating such significant value for the region that everyone absolutely gets behind it and supports the facility.
Thank you so much for your time. Mark, when do you officially actually open?
I believe we're having a soft opening the middle of next week, and then our official opening with QME.
So September
22nd to the 25th of September. Depending on Minister's availability, we are planning on having our major opening.
So the facility then will be open for business, and hopefully you'll be taking bookings for groups to come through, particularly, as Sue's mentioned, for schools to come through and have a look and be ready to roll in September.
Equipment is arriving. The centre will be gradually open between now and then.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. It was awesome to be able to have a really positive conversation around, I think, what the future of collaboration looks like through one facility, and I think it's incredibly exciting. I think many people out in our community actually don't necessarily understand that we are already a region that's transforming right before our very eyes, and this is a figurative example of that. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Holly.
Thank you, Kylie.